In this video, I'm going to show you how to build your go-to-market machine so you can get more leads, more booked calls, and more revenue for a B2B business. So if you're a B2B founder, a marketer, or a sales leader, and you really want to ramp up your growth and figure out like what channels should you add to get leads and to market your business, which ones should you focus on first, and really where can you get the best ROI for your marketing budget, I'm going to cover exactly all of that in just the next 5 minutes here. So first of all, if you don't know me, I'm AJ Quesada, co-founder of Revenue Boost. We are a B2B marketing agency that specializes in outbound campaigns, cold email, LinkedIn, cold calling. So essentially, we've helped over 400 clients by now over the years. And it's really challenging because it's hard to know like where you should put your marketing dollars. There's so many options, right? Like you could do inbound, you could do outbound, you could do paid. And within those three buckets, there's so many different categories and channels, right? So how do you really build your strategy? How do you know what's going to be the best option for you, where you should double down on, where you should focus on, where you should allocate more resources? So I'm going to cover all that now. And really, it's not a simple answer. It's not like there's one channel that's the best. Ideally, all the different channels work together. They have different purposes and they should be implemented in different stages. So I'm going to walk through our 3-phase process for building your GTM machine and your acquisition system. So also, if this video is interesting to you, I released a mini course on how to build outbound campaigns specifically with cold email. So if you'd like a free 7-hour mini course to actually put some of this to work and actually start getting more leads and more booked calls for your sales team, just comment mini course or something below and I'll DM it to you. We'll send that to your DM. But anyways, this framework I'm about to share is just for B2B companies. Most of the companies we work with are doing like $500K a year to $5 million annual recurring revenue. That's just most of the clients we have, so that's who this is geared towards. But typically, we're implementing this with tech startups and SaaS companies, agencies and marketing firms, consulting companies, professional services like finance, IT, etc. But if you're not a B2B company, then don't watch this video because it's really not relevant to you. This is really just for B2B companies selling like a high ticket service, like either retainer or project-based, or like a tech company or a SaaS startup. So that's who this is for, ideally in this revenue range. If you're just starting a brand new business, this is not really going to be relevant to you. This is for businesses that are already off the ground, getting leads, have clients, have users, they're growing, but they need to start adding more channels and really scaling up the growth. So really, the way that I like to categorize it is there's 3 core channels when it comes to growth, right? There's outbound, there's inbound, there's paid. So if you just Google like, how do I grow my business? How do I get leads? And how do I get more sales? You'll find like 50 different options, right? You could run Facebook ads, you could start a Facebook group, you could post on LinkedIn, you can DM people on LinkedIn, you could run cold email, you can go to events, you can host events, you can do online events, you can do webinars. The options are like really exhausting, right? But everything can be grouped into 3 categories. Outbound is where you start the conversation. You or your sales team, your SDRs are sending cold emails, sending cold calls, or sending LinkedIn DMs, right? That's where you're really starting the conversation. And you can also hire agencies to do that for you. Inbound is where you're putting out content and waiting for people to come to you. This could be podcasts, LinkedIn, YouTube, or it could be actual like events, in-person events or webinars, or sponsoring events, right? And then paid is where you're really paying for traffic, right? So inbound is where inbound and paid are basically both content-based, but inbound is where you're building an audience organically for free. Paid is where you're basically paying to get it in front of an audience, right? Which could be paying Facebook ads, paying Google ads, paying YouTube ads, or like sponsoring newsletters. So really all the different channels you can group into just these 3 different buckets, right? And here's what channels you should be doing. This is the same formula that I've used I've built several B2B companies. And again, our agency's worked with over 400 by now over the years. I've been in the lead generation space for 12 years now. Even though I don't look like it, I know I look pretty young, but I've been doing this 12 years. Through all this, I've really found that there's a 3-phase process that works the best. So ultimately, you should be doing all of these channels because outbound, inbound, and paid all serve different purposes in the marketing ecosystem. It's not about just doing one thing. It's about really building a holistic marketing strategy where all 3 of these work together, right? However, you can't do all of them at once because that would be really expensive and then you'd be spread thin. So these are the 3 phases I recommend implementing each one. First phase is outbound, right? If you're just trying to build your GTM machine and you're trying to get a predictable flow of more qualified leads and more booked calls for your business, and you don't have a predictable online marketing system yet, the first thing you should be doing is outbound, right? And I usually recommend cold email to start, but we'll talk about that more in a minute. The reason you want to do this first is because it gives you a predictable lead flow and it really helps you validate your offer, your messaging, your ICPs, and your key market segments for very cheap. Because all you have to do is the labor. You either are having you and your team send cold emails or make cold calls, or you're hiring an agency to do this for you. Compared to paid traffic, where you have to do the labor, but then you also have to spend 3, 5, 10K a month just for like ad spend, right? So ideally you want to go to a less capital intensive channel that's lower risk to be able to validate your offer, messaging, ICPs, right? Because Otherwise, you're spending all this money on advertising and you haven't really figured out like the formula yet, right? So you want to really figure out like what's the key message, the value proposition, what are the best markets to target, right? What's the best offer that's going to break through? And when you do this through cold emails or LinkedIn DMs, you can really figure all this out in a much quicker time for a lot cheaper, right? So that's the quickest way. If you just want an extra like 5 or 10 MQLs or even booked calls a week, outbound is going to be the fastest way to do that. Now, the second channel I recommend implementing is inbound, organic, right? And this serves a different purpose. This is really about building your audience, authority, brand, and then also giving you warm leads that you can actually have your outbound team do outreach to, which is really cool too. But ultimately, like, these serve different purposes. Outbound is basically just always going to give you the short-term results that are going to boost your revenue, right? But you're not really building an asset so much other than the fact that you have campaigns that are performing. But with inbound, you're building an audience, right? And an email list and a brand reputation that just really compounds and compounds over time. So this is really like more covering the long term, and this covers more of the short term growth. But you always want to be doing this as well because it's always going to give you a reliable flow of deals. But the problem with inbound is if you're doing like SEO or LinkedIn content, or let's say you start a podcast, it takes a long time to get results. That's why you want to get outbound working first. So I recommend every B2B company does content, right? You should be doing content, putting your brand out there, but just know that it could take easily 6 to 12 months before you're actually starting to see a consistent flow of leads for them. So it's much more of a slower channel to build. That's why you want to really get this working first, really focus on outbound so that you can bring in consistent qualified leads, and then start working on the inbound in the background. And then when you have the time to add a third channel, then you can start working on paid traffic. And for me, paid traffic is more about amplification of what's working and reinvesting capital. So once you're making more revenue from your outbound campaigns and your inbound campaigns, then it's okay, now let me just take those profits and reinvest it into paid. But if you do paid first, it causes a problem, right? Because if you start out with paid traffic, you don't have a validated funnel or sales process or offer or like messaging, and you're going to spend a lot of money just testing all that, and you could easily be like 50 to 100 grand in the hole. I know because I've been there for my own business. So really, like, once you've got outbound campaigns working to cold traffic and you're booking demos from that, then you know what markets to target and what copy and messaging works. And then you can take those learnings, put into paid traffic, and just amplify what's working and know that you're going to get results quicker. That's the process we use. In terms of outbound, there's a few different channels. Cold email, LinkedIn, cold calling are the most popular for B2B. If you're just starting with one, I recommend cold email because it's just going to be the easiest to get started. And there's a lot of great companies like ours as well that can just do this for you. But typically you're going to get more results in the short term versus these other two. Like cold calling, for example, takes more operational capacity because you need to hire SDRs. So anyways, that's that. If you'd like a course as well, again, we have released a 7-hour free mini course on how to build cold email campaigns to get more demos. So just comment below and I can definitely send that to you, but I hope you enjoyed the video. Hey, I'm AJ Quesada, co-founder of Revenue Boost. Really hope you enjoyed today's video. If you do, make sure to leave me a comment and definitely subscribe right now so that you're notified of all the cool stuff we're doing, all the cool tactics, tips, and strategies that we share here on the channel. We help B2B companies scale to 7 to 8 figures. We've helped over 400 clients and we can help you too. And we share some amazing stuff on the channel here. So really hope you enjoyed. And if you do, let me know in the comments and be sure to subscribe. All right, back to the video.